Good evening and welcome to tonight's authors program. Okay. This is our first in-person event that we've hosted since the pandemic, so we are super excited to have you guys here tonight. My name is Karita Tinker and I'm the Children's Services Librarian here at the Cerritos Library. Thank you for joining us again and taking part in this important conversation. In terms of tonight, I will introduce our esteemed guest, and then we will discuss her remarkable book. We will also allocate time for audience questions. Finally, you guys will be able to purchase the book, and we also will have a signing at the end of the program. So I also want to give a special thanks to the City of Cerritos Recreation Services Superintendent, Sherry Titus. She was essential in organizing this program. Okay. Dr. La-Doris McClaney is a real estate mogul whose professional career began when she was just a child. She, along with her beloved mother, Eula McClaney, and her sister Bernie, created a legacy of philanthropy, education, and inspiration. First in Pennsylvania, and then in 1958, Los Angeles, California. She chronicles her life story in her book, God, I Listen To. Her story will make you laugh, cry, and show you how hard work, pure grit, education, and prayer can propel you to unimaginable heights. It's now my honor to introduce Dr. La-Doris McClaney. And it's actually La-Doris McClaney. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Certainly.
How are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, fighting the traffic from West Los Angeles here. I didn't think I would get here this evening.
Yes. But you made it, though.
Yes.
So in God I Listen To, you recounted your family history, your family story, your legacy. For people who haven't had the opportunity to read the book, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, it talks about a family coming from the very backwoods of Alabama. Primary occupation was picking cotton, farming, and leaving Alabama, moving to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And there, my mother started making sweet potato pies.
Oh, yes.
Selling them at 10 cents a slice, going into real estate, and pivot from one house to 33 in 9 years, and then moved from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Los Angeles, and continued the journey.
Wow, amazing, remarkable story. Can you tell us a little bit about the title of your book? I know your mom had God, I Listen. Can you tell me why you chose that same title, or you chose to follow her footsteps?
First and foremost, the book is a love story to my mother. Mm-hmm. And she did not have an opportunity to see her book printed. Mm-hmm. She dictated it prior to her transition, and I had a divine responsibility that I needed to publish that book. And when I decided to pen my memoir, there was no question in my mind. If Eula McClaney could bounce from the backfields of Alabama to Holmby Hills, and her book was God, I Listen, there was no question my book would be called God, I Listen To.
Excellent, wow. One of your major themes in this book is hard work. Do you think that concept is true today for our American generation?
Definitely. Anyone that you see that is extremely successful, you see the glory, but you don't know the real story. Mm-hmm. And everyone that is successful have worked very, very hard to go from point A to point B. There's no easy fix. You have to work for what you get.
Yes, that is so true. And your mom, she started baking sweet potato pies, and she sold them for 10 cents a slice. Your mom was a Renaissance woman. She was, you know, she thought, she had the forethought to think about buying property and about, you know, buying, you know, apartments, renting out property. Where do you think that grit came from?
Well, you know, when you were born and reared in the deep South where you were surrounded with segregation, and that when you walked down the street and you saw someone white, you had to get off the street to let that white person pass by. There was something deep down within Eula that wasn't a life she wanted her children to live. And picking cotton and couldn't go to get it baled until you picked 500 pounds of it was something that was not in the landscape of what she wanted for her girls. She wanted to be able to educate her girls that we would have an opportunity to look at white folks in the face and be very secure within ourselves, and that no one else had to validate us because we knew who we were. So from that, it's what made her navigate from Alabama to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and instill upon me.
Excellent. Do you think that grit can be taught? You think you're born with it, or is it taught?
Well, in my situation, I had parents that knew nothing but hard work. So I learned how to work from example. I think it can be taught as long as you have the patience, but you have to be an example yourself. You can't tell your children to do something and you're not an example for them, because they look at and see what you're doing, and why should I do this when you haven't done anything?
Excellent, excellent. Do you think your father had that same level of grit?
No, because my father's father was very aggressive. In those days, he owned over 100 acres of land. And because my father was not raised with his mom, and she had died very early, my father was not motivated because he felt that with all of this hard work and no play or no softness there, he did not want it. But it was through my father's father that my mom saw how aggressive he was, and saw the fact that if he could do this deep down within the South, then she had a chance to elevate herself to another level.
Excellent. What do you say to young people who are like, I can't do it, I don't have the opportunity to succeed?
Well, they start off with a negative attitude. See, children want to have it overnight. Nothing comes overnight. And you have to explain to them and let them read and see examples of people that are successful, that look at so-and-so, they're still working today. And to have stability within life, it comes from working. And you have to teach them no one gives you anything. And let's face it, if they gave it to you, you wouldn't be able to keep it anyway.
That is true. That is so true. I've seen that plenty of times.
Look at the lottery.
Oh, yes. Yes. How do you think your mom was able, I mean, she had a 6th grade education, but that didn't matter in terms, I mean, she was so smart. You know, she had so much education that she didn't learn from books, but she already knew.
She was focused. And she was focused that she did not want to pick cotton all of her life. And she did not want to be poor all of her life. And as she looked around at the trajectory of white people and other people and how well they lived, she realized deep down within, her journey may be different as long as she accomplished her goal. And she was willing to do what it taken to get there.
Oh yeah, she opened, I mean, she went through windows. If the door was closed, she would find another way. And I love that about the story and about your mom and about your family. You talk about tuning your ear to the voice of God. How can I, or anyone, attune their ear to the voice of God? How do you know it's God?
It is something intuitive. Everyone in this room make a decision within themselves, and there is a greater spirit that says, do this or don't do that. And we all know the correct path to take. So she listened to the Almighty and believed and knew that if He created the heaven and earth and all that was in, a part of it belonged to her also.
Excellent, excellent. What factors led you to writing this book?
I keep international students in my house from all over the world. And there were two gentlemen that I have kept for 5 years, and they have encouraged me, please write the book. And I says, write a book? I don't have anything to tell anyone. All I'm doing is out here working hard and paying bills. They said, but Mommy, you have a lot to tell. Just to be able to carry the legacy from where your mom started and keeping that going. And yes, my mom was incredible, but I worked right along with her. I didn't stay home watching TV and looking at books and doing nothing. I had to get up and work directly along with her. So it's just a part of my DNA, and it is exactly who I am.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like you couldn't meet those standards? I mean, she set such high standards for you girls. Did you ever feel like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this?
No, because I was trained as a child. Can't is not in your vocabulary. Anything that you see anyone else do, you can do it too, if you're willing to put in the work.
Excellent. Oh, that's a great and truthful word. Who or what inspires you to write?
You know, when I sit down and look at the trajectory of my life and where I've come from and everything, and when I decided through the pandemic and the encouragement of two of my students, and I sat down and started writing, it was therapeutic for me to sit at a computer and go back in my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when I finished penciling my memoir, someone that I love and very close to me, I contacted Shirley Walker to come and read with me and to go over, because I wanted the journey to be something that anyone could read, a sixth grader could pick up. I found that a lot of times writers are so academic that you need the book here and a dictionary here because you don't know what this word, and then you lose the continuity of what the story is. And because she is such a prolific writer and has such an imagination, and have known her all of my life and have her life and loved her dearly, I knew that she would be very honest and I could go through the necessary steps that I needed to go through to get this book completed. And then after we went through that, you know, you always need someone to come in and have an opportunity to go through the book with you to see if there's misspelled words or what's redundant and da-da-da-da-da. So then I got Shelby's sister, Sherry, and said, Sherry, come over here to Aunt La-Doris and help read this book with me. And that's how it all came together.
What was the hardest chapter for you to write?
In 1987, December the 17th, when I lost the most important person in my life, my mother. And that's why in the book you'll see out of all the clear cream color pages, there's one that is a black page in there, and that was the most difficult thing, to be able to go back and to put the emotions and to walk through the room and to be able to see her in a light that I had never seen and be able to live through that. And by being able to live through it, I said, God, if you take me through this, you may bend me, but I'll never break. So that was the most difficult part of that book.
Were you able to write that in one sitting, or did that take you some time?
Oh, it taken some time. Because I couldn't see the pages as I was typing for the tears and the emotions and everything. But I thought that it was important because, see, people need to have an opportunity, because you look at me as a multimillionaire and have a lot of real estate and da-da-da-da-da. Oh, there's a lot of tears that come with this also. Nothing is all smiles and a day at the park. So I thought it was real important to demonstrate my inner feelings as I went through that. It was important.
Wow, excellent, wow. How did you become interested in this? How did you become interested in writing?
Because so many people has asked me to write a book for 40 years. My mother's been gone now 30, she died in 87, whatever, 30, whatever. And even prior to that, La-Doris, you need to write your book. Your mom has written her book and she has done an exceptional job, but you need to be able to write so people can see the journey you walked through with your mom and your dad. And that's why, finally, with the two young men in my home, I finally decided to pen my memoir.
What do you think was your main goal, of writing this book? What do you think your main goal is?
To be able to receive enough money from it for those underprivileged children to attend historical black colleges and universities. That was the purpose of that book. This book is not the revenue for me. I'm okay. I can pay my bills. But I wanted to reach out, as you will see in my book, throughout the book.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about La-Doris, it's about helping someone else. But helping someone that is worthy. I don't give just to be given. I love giving, but I like giving to people that, in situations that's worthy. That's the difference.
How can women get past that no in life? Your mom got past it, but what do you tell, she found another way. She found other friends to help her do quick deeds. How would you tell women, how do you get past the no?
First, you have to be real secure with you. You have to know that this is really what you want to do. And you cannot let people sway you in terms of you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. If you feel deep down in your gut this is what you want to do, you have to go on and do it. See, a lot of people are not successful because they are completely determined on the decision of other people. I'm not that person.
And have you always been like that? And how do you get that confidence? How can you how can, what can you tell to little girls or, women about confidence and building confidence and getting confidence?
As I said earlier in our conversation, you align yourself with people that are successful, people that are going somewhere, people that want to do something, people that have a goal. Hanging around people that's not doing anything. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've also learned to stay away from toxic people. That toxicity will kill you. And if they're not up and you cannot get a positive reaction from them to help you, you give them the hand of God and keep it moving.
Woof. What do you want your legacy to be?
That I started with nothing, mass millions, but it wasn't about me. I gave it all away to someone that needed it and that I could help.
Excellent, excellent. And what are you working on now?
Being happy.
Yeah, hey.
Being happy and enjoying my life.
I love it. What do you think your mother would say about your book?
She would be excited because when you read that book, you read Yola, because I am her child.
You were definitely your child, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
You have received many awards. Is there something that stands out in your mind?
I think out of all the awards that I have received, two. One, when a huge building in Daytona Beach, Florida was named in my name, Dr. La-Doris McClaney School of Communication and Performing Arts. But I think one of the most dearest award that I had received is when I received the Rosa Parks Award. I knew Mrs. Rosa Parks personally. She was a friend of my family's, and because of all that she had gone through and persevered, but had a sweetness through it all. And when I was able to receive her award, that was monumental to me.
Ooh. Amazing. If you were to add another chapter with everything that's happened since your book was published, what would you tell us in that chapter?
I would tell you how hard I'm looking forward to diligently and working towards a movie on the McClaney family.
Oh.
I think little black children and white children ought to be able to sit back and see this family in the fields of Alabama with nothing but white, fluffy cotton all around them. That could raise from that cotton field and live in a mansion in Holmby Hills.
Wow. I want to see that movie. Sign me up. What advice would you give young women who are looking to purchase real estate or stocks?
First, you have to know what you want to do. Then you have to save money to be able to do that. Unfortunately, we look at red bottom shoes, we look at suits, we look at clothes and things like that that has no sustainability at all. No matter what you pay for it, the leather wears out in time. You need to do things, purchase things, and focus on things that will bring you a benefit later. I tell all the young people, you run up and down the steps now, you feel great, you look wonderful, but there's a day When the feet hurt, the knees hurt, and everything else.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done what you needed to do while you were young, it's a little late when you're old trying to do it. It's all about preparation.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Have you ever gotten advice that you haven't taken?
Oh, a lot of it. A lot of it.
Any advice that you wish you had taken?
Not really. You know, when I really sit back and I reflect, I didn't make a lot of mistakes. You know, I hear people, well, I did this and I did that and I shouldn't have done this. And I was a real obedient child.
You were.
I did not like whippings. I did not like seeing as hard as my parents had worked as well as myself to sit back and have a good time and lose it. I'm very grateful that even in the absence of my mother, that I have gone on to other states and build on the legacy. That's what pushes me daily, not to lose, but to gain.
Wow. Excellent. Is there anything that you want to add that we haven't heard?
I'm not going to tell you. No, there's nothing that I can think of.
Do you think that people who are, you know, non-religious, religious people will enjoy this book? This book is for everyone?
For everyone. It's not a religious book. Mm-hmm. It's a motivational book. I'm just guided by the Almighty God. But someone else could be guided by something else. But it just goes to show you what you can do instead of sitting back talking about what you can't do.
Ooh, oh my God. Ooh, you had me right there. You had me stopped right there. Can you give us some wisdom? I mean, in your book, you do have some pages. You have some wisdoms for us. And there's one that got me. You have wisdom of the day. And wisdom 2, things will always come to you on time and in time. If they come to you in hardship, on the other side, there's a rainbow. You need sunshine and water to make a rainbow. It takes both. You must have faith. With him guiding you, nothing is impossible. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, that's true. You know, you have to be patient. We want everything overnight. Mm-hmm. Nothing comes overnight. And it comes in time and on time.
Yes. Have you always been patient?
Shelby?
I mean, this is self-control, really.
Yeah. I'm impatient with people wasting time. Mm. You know, people just waste their lives and just waste time and my shipper's gonna come in and one day I'm gonna do this. What are you doing to pull your ship in? Mm-hmm. So I'm impatient with that. My mother was also, she would stay up all night long to be able to guide you and help you. But for foolishness, she had no patience at all. I certainly inherited that from her.
Whew. Wow. Let me see. Does anyone have any questions? We have a mic right there if you guys want to ask a question. You can go up to the mic.
I just have a question. I just wonder what your doctorate is in.
Humanities. My undergraduate degree is in behavioral science with the emphasis on behavior disorder. My master's degree is in public administration, and my doctorate is in humanities. Yes, sir.
If you have a go.
You certainly prepare yourself well for the future. Being such a success and such a busy entrepreneur in your life, when did you have time to write?
You know, I found out one thing in life. When it's something you want to do, you make the time. And I made the time to write.
I have a question. And you have a passion for education, particularly educating young African American people. Can you tell us why you decided to donate all the proceeds from your books to HBCUs?
Well, when you look at UCLA, which I live 1 mile from there, USC and all of the white schools, that money is not a problem at all. Who suffers is us. And if we don't learn to take care of us, who do you think is going to take care of us? And we need to learn to be like the Jewish people are with the Jews. They take care of their own, and that's what we need to do also. And I feel more important than anything else that you can do is get educated. People need to have an education, and they can utilize any excuse that you want. Miss Eula did it with a 6th grade education, but how many Eula McClaneys will you run across? And it was important for me with this book to give the proceeds to HBCU schools. And thank you for everything you've done to make this book come to fruition.
Anyone else? Questions?
Yes. Do you have other siblings, and how did you become so close to your mother?
Oh, I've always been close to my mother as a child, as well as my father, because I was a daddy's girl. There was so much love always in my home, and I did not have to leave my home to find someone to love me, because that was permeated all through my house.
Do you have other siblings?
No, I had one sister. You must read the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was the only sibling, was her. She never married, so there was no nieces or nephews. I'm divorced, no children. But I have a significant other that's sitting in here, and we have been a couple, my best friend, for 36 and a half years, Thomas Parker.
Go ahead.
Dr. McClaney, do you have any words of wisdom for the Cerritos College memoir writing class? Any words of encouragement for the seniors and older adults that would like to follow your path of putting in print all of those memories, all of those life struggles for future generations?
As I said earlier, it's all about what you want to do and what you feel deep down within. And if that is a desire in which they want to do, it's the same as I did. You sit at a computer and you think back and go back as far as you can and put all of it down on paper. And then you can see your pluses and your minuses, because we all have both. And then you look up and you have a book. When I sit back now and have read the book many, many times, there are so many things that I didn't put in this book that I didn't think about at the time. So maybe that is why I have to one day get together again with Shelby and Sherry and write another book.
What would you call that book?
It would have to be God I Listen to.
Still listening.
Oh, you have to listen. You
Yeah.
have to listen.
Oh, that's hard sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And you would, ma'am, right here? Yeah.
I just wanted to ask your relationship with God and as you continue to grow with God and serving and doing things that you know that He wants you to do because you're using your gift. Where God wants you to use your gift. And so do you feel comfortable with the decisions you've made and with all that's going on right now, does it keep you at peace?
I've had a very close relationship with God just about all of my life. I came from a family that loved the Lord, and it was permeated throughout my house with my mother, my mother's mother. I know no other way. And through all the friends that I have met, the people that I have been around, for La-Doris McClaney, there is a calmness with him that I don't get from anyone else. And I know when there are times when there are decisions that have to be made, and they're not always easy decisions, I go to him and I listen. And 99.99% of the time, I come out okay. Because I listen to him and no one else.
That's true. Anybody else?
So clearly you love books based on your background and your educational background. But as you can see, most of us are older. Now, social media plays a significant part in young kids' lives, especially young Black kids. It seems like nowadays they are more interested in social media rather than books. Do you think social media has a negative or positive impact on young Black kids in the community?
I think it's a plus as well as a minus. I think that too much is exposed to children. I find that people don't want to think. You ask them a question and here goes a cell phone and they Google everything. Consequently from that, you're away from using the brain God gave you. I think that what we need to do, and I'm one of those older ones, we need to show examples. I open my home and let young children come from inner cities, that they can come in and see how a Black woman lives. You see white folks all the time. I enjoy taking them in the garage and seeing the cars that are in there. And I enjoy letting them know the story of Shirley McClaney, along with her two girls. There's nothing here that you see that everyone here can acquire that or whatever is comfortable for you. It is entirely up to you. I think my pet peeve, and no one asked this question, but my pet peeve is that I'm fortunate or unfortunate to know a lot of quote unquote celebrities. And it really bothers me when I see so many of them that have forgotten from where they came. That grandma's grandma, somebody was down there in them cotton fields, have worked real hard. We were not born and reared in Beverly Hills, okay? And then when you mass your fortune, it's God bless me and only me. I got a problem with that. Because one of the things that I learned a long time ago as a child, and I live with this day, To much is given, much is required. No one in here came in this world without anything. And I don't care how much you love that dining room set, those red bottom shoes, the Birkin purse, or whatever. You're not taking it with you. And if you don't reach back and help someone that's trying to help themselves, now there's a differentiation of somebody wanting something for nothing. I'm talking about the people that really want something for themselves. And you don't help, I have a problem with that. And I think that my focus more so than anything else, and I saw this many years ago, that I was speaking at a large affair, and a young lady that I used to work with in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department was standing over on the side when I finished speaking and came off of the podium. And I wondered, why are you standing over there? I mean, we have eaten the same sandwich together and shared a Coca-Cola together, or what have you. Well, you know, now you are blah, blah. I said, honey, I'm the same La-Doris McClaney that came into this world that almost slid through the planks of the floor. If that midwife hadn't have been real quick to grab me, I'll never change. Change in my situation, but never change in my attitude. And I tell people, no matter where I go, I'm huggable. Unfortunately, I can't hug you all night. But I'm approachable. And I think it's such a shame that God brings you up from that point to wherever it is, and you think you're above someone else. It doesn't matter to me whether you work in the house or own the house. We're all one and the same. And that was instilled upon me as a very, very young child. And I hope to carry that until the Almighty calls on me.
Wow. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Is there any certain thing you do to prepare to hear the voice of God? Hear him speak to you there? How do you humble yourself, or how do you
First,
position?
I stay humble. It's who I am. And when I have to make a decision that's really important, I get very quiet. No television, no distraction of any. And say, God, what should I do? And even though my mom's been gone 35 years plus, I even talk to her. Mommy, is this what you would do? Am I making the right decision? Am I doing the right thing? And the answer always will come. But sometimes you just have to get quiet. Some people cannot live unless the television is blasting or all kinds of stuff is going around. Sometimes you need to just be quiet, and you will hear whatever you need to hear.
Who are some of your favorite authors?
Maya Angelou. I loved her. There are a variety of people that I love their beginning. Michelle Obama, I love from where she came from, okay? And how her struggles and everything that she became the first lady. I love any kind of book that can teach me. And my mom used to always say, when you know everything, now there goes a fool. So I try hard to learn something. Like some people say, learn a word every day. But to learn something. And I just want to be a beacon of light for my God.
You know, I found it interesting that you used to paint.
Yes, my father was a self-taught painter. When he came from Alabama to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, he worked in the Pittsburgh steel mill. And he just picked up painting and learning how to paint. And because I was a daddy's girl, and especially in high school, I couldn't wait to get home, put on my overalls, and stick my paint brush in my pocket and go with daddy. He first taught me how to paint radiators because that was a method of heat in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then after I did a real good job of that, then I went to the baseboards and I went to the door, and finally I was standing next to daddy painting on the walls. Not knowing that many, many years later, when I moved here in California with my mom, and we were buying real estate property and could not afford a painter, I became the painter for McClaney Properties. So you know what you learn when you're young and you hold on to it and you want to do a good job at it, that may become your occupation later on in life.
Can you tell me a little bit about certified mail? You returned the check to Hilda, and I love that part, how you sent her the check by certified mail.
When my father decided to sever the relationship with my mother, he didn't call her and say, I want a divorce. He sent her a letter by certified mail. And I thought that was so callous, so cruel. That here's a lady that you met at the church on the first Sunday of every month. Here's a woman that you married and had 2 children with. Here's a woman that you taken from the backfields of Alabama to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Lived there and went on to California, that you had planned to come, but you made the decision not to. But to sever the relationship, a certified letter, how callous, how cruel, and how cold. Years later, he married a young lady, beautiful woman, but very sweet. And after he made his transition, he gave me the same amount of money that he gave his wife. And what did I do? I endorsed that check and made it payable to his ex-wife, and I sent it to her, certified mail. It was his wife at the time, yes. And I sent it to her, certified mail, because she needed that more than I did. See, when you do the right thing, only right will come back to you. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to be, and did not need to be greedy. Let me give it to her because that's what she needed. And I always say, and people will look at me, I'm not concerned about people. I even tell Tommy, what people think, they don't validate me. I know who I am, and I know what I've done. But more importantly, I have somebody bigger than me that I have to go to at the end.
Another chapter that really got me was friend and foe. You said there will always be haters in life, and this is the truth. And you live by, specific kind of lessons, and you have some lessons that you teach us. Basically, you say that misery often loves company. If you find yourself gossiping about people, just know that others are gossiping about you, which is totally true. People have a lot to say about lives they have never lived. God reduces your circle because he he heard conversations that you didn't. Aspire not to have more, but to be more. And I love that. Keep your friends close and your enemies out of your life. Oof. What you allow is what will continue. And that's a powerful one to me, because a lot of us allow things that we shouldn't. And we wonder why it keeps on happening to us, right? But this is perfect. What you're saying is what you allow is what will continue. And you know, if you guys want to read the rest, buy the book or rent the book. But I won't give the rest away. But it's just an amazing, you know, that you put that out there, that there will always be haters, but you need to know how to deal with the haters.
You know, people will make a summation of you and who you are and don't even know you. They know more about you, and all of it is not true. Most of it isn't. I find that I see people, oh, you know, so-and-so said this, or they got in their head and blah, blah, blah. I'm just not a weak person. You can't get in my head. And I realize jealousy comes with being successful. So I have a plaque that when I did the opening of my book, and it says, all man's evil will never outweigh my God's good. So you don't worry about that. People that are toxic, and you see them across the street, why would you walk over there? People are who they are. Bless them, keep it moving.
Ooh, that's so hard to do sometimes. You know, it's easy to gossip, but it's hard to get that, you know.
Yeah, but you know, when you gossip about other people, they gossip about you.
That is true. That is the truth.
And you either take that time, or you find people, they know everything, but they ain't done nothing with their lives.
Were you able to see those people and run away and move along?
You can feel them. You can feel them. I have a gentleman in the audience that we have been friends probably since I was around 16 years old. Stand up, Leroy. This is my buddy that we partied and went a lot of places and did a lot of things. And people would come up with all kinds of things. Did it bother me, Leroy? Kept it moving. You know, because you will lose your goal. You will lose what you need to do worrying about somebody else. They can't handle themselves. How can they handle you? And I'm always amazed at people that come with, this person said that, or they said that, and you give all this energy. You could be doing something productive. It's not even worth it. Not worth it at all.
I'm curious about why the international students, what was the motivation to invite those students into the home, and what benefit have they given to you?
Well, when I moved in my home, I moved in, there were 5 women. My mother, my mother's mother, my mother's sister, my sister, and myself. They all preceded me, and I was sitting up in a huge house all by myself. And a dear cousin of mine, which I call my favorite cousin, says, you know, one of the things that you can do is open up your home to international students. Because people in a house makes a home. And when you're in a house all by yourself, or there's a house and nothing is going inside of that house, it's very cold. And that house does not function as a home. And that's why I started the international students. What it did for me is give me life. Of not having children, they all started calling me mommy. It also allowed me to learn the different cultures and the things that they were involved in that I was unaware of. As I said, I'm a person that likes to learn. I don't want to learn that, I don't want to go over here, I don't want to do that. I want to do all of the above if it's legal and it can help me. And it transformed my life. And with the two gentlemen that are in the book, it was them, along with hundreds of people for years that wanted me to do my memoir, that pushed me to be able to do it. And I'm just so grateful. And before the pandemic, I do extensive traveling around the world. But since I wasn't able to do that since the pandemic, and having them in my home, it just carried me through this transitional period, and it has just been wonderful.
Can you talk about Dubai and how, how that came about?
You're gonna have, did you read this?
I
book?
did, I read it, I know how it came about, but maybe they might want to know.
Well, they're gonna buy the book tonight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they will read it. Okay.
They'll know, they'll learn.
Okay.
Give away all the secrets.
Okay.
Did you have a question, sir?
Yes. You talk about writing being therapeutic for you. A lot of my personal journals and diaries are also therapeutic. They help me clarify my thoughts and my feelings. But I always think that these were private items, only for my eyes to see. How do you come to share with the world and not being afraid to become vulnerable to other people, see your feelings, your insides, your weak part of your personality? How do you open up without being afraid of being vulnerable to the world?
That's real easy for me to answer. That's on them. It's not on me. If I don't open up, how am I going to help somebody? How do they know where I've come from? How do they know what I have been through? So that's all on them. It's not on me.
Are you still writing on a daily basis?
No, and I wasn't writing on an everyday basis then.
Okay.
Once I sat down to do this, I worked on it very diligently for a couple months, and I put it aside. And there are areas in the book that are very personal, as he said. Some of them are very emotional, and at that time, I put it down and gather my thoughts, my emotion, and my ability, and move forward.
I have a statement of a question, Larry.
Yes.
There are A and B students in our HBCU. Would you comment on the fact that you are not focusing on that group of people, but you are focusing on the C students?
That is correct. A students can always get scholarships. A students can go anywhere they want to go. That's the ones that UCLA look for, USC and the top schools look for. It's the C students that many times have the academic ability, but maybe home is not real stable up in there, that has made a difference from them to a B to a C. Those are the students that I'm looking for.
Okay, everyone, I just want to thank you for coming out tonight. Like I said, please purchase the book. We have Miss Sherry Titus back there, and she will take your money, and it goes to a great cause. So please purchase the book. We have it here at the library also, but don't check it out, but please purchase it. So thank you so much for coming tonight.